with you all. All right, Anthony. Yes, I see you say you're here and you're ready, especially after all your meal prep. I know how you do it because the amount of bread that I saw you bake over the weekend was phenomenal. And I honestly wish that I had the fortitude as a single woman with no children to do what you did. And welcome Titta Carlene to the chat and to the session. It's always good to have the community here with us. And I see my soror Marguerite is in the building as well. And so Marguerite, it's so good to have you with us as well. Just a heads up, this session is being recorded. I make the sessions available through an unlisted YouTube link because I want persons that are interested or that want to catch up on some of the content to have access to it. I'm not yet ready to make it public for the world and sundry to have access to. But for those of you that decided that you wanted to take the time out and you wanted to spend time with me, I want to make it available for you. If you want to share it with somebody close that you may be able to, or that somebody that may find value in it. I also have it available so that you'd be able to share it. But keep in mind that the link will be unlisted. And if you DM me, I will make it available. Having said that, I don't like to belabor it because it is a Tuesday afternoon or a Tuesday evening, and I know some of you are getting comfortable. But tonight's topic is about overcoming performance anxiety. And again, the intro is sometimes the most capable people face performance anxiety, which are feelings that tell you the feelings tell you that you're incapable. The feelings tell you that you're unqualified. The feelings tell you that you're unprepared or even unsuitable. And today, I just want to discuss some of those strategies that I use, especially when I'm faced with less than ideal circumstances. And sometimes the circumstances are ideal. However, I feel as though I'm not up to the challenge until I am forced to perform. And so, as per usual, our live stream courtesies are, if you are moving, please keep your cameras off. That's if you're driving or unsettled, simply because it is distracting for other persons that may have their stream in gallery view. I'd like to hear from you, but keep your microphones off during the conversation, unless, of course, I say, hey, I want your feedback on something. And then please raise your hand just so that I can acknowledge you so we don't have any confusion. When we record the streams, what tends to happen is there is a delay. And so I'd like to allow for the computer to realize that some of you are trying to talk, and so that it has a clear stream of what you're saying. And the last thing is, if there's a question that you would like to share while I'm completing a thought, please put it in the chat because my ADHD is going to deviate from the point I'd like to make. And so I may not execute the thought as clearly as I would like to because I am also thinking about how I want to address your question. Okay. All right. And here's a story time. So if you take a look at the screen, you're going to see that there is a photo of me standing atop two boxes. These are the boxes at the gym that we're using, and I'm doing a sumo squat. This was last year around about this exact same time. I had, for context, just come back from, I think it was South Carolina, where I was getting ready to perform, or where I had performed for South Carolina Carnival. What a lot of people don't know is that I normally travel by myself. On this particular trip, my manager did travel with me, but we were on two different floors in two different rooms in that hotel for obvious reasons, okay? While I was getting ready during my downtime, I had placed my phone on the nightstand in the bedroom, and I didn't have my smartwatch, which has a phone component on it, with me when I went to take a shower because, I mean, there's no reason for me to have it on while I'm in the shower. I stepped into the shower and I felt my life. I saw my life flash before my eyes because I was about to slip down in that shower. And the way that I was slipping down in that shower was in such a way that there was the possibility of me seriously injuring myself. And when I said seriously injuring myself, I mean, I went down and it felt like I was going down in slow motion. My head was about to hit the side of the soap dish. I don't even think it was a soap dish. It was about to hit the side of the tub. And if it had, I probably would have either had a concussion or I would have been knocked out completely. In those moments, I sat and I thought to myself some of the worst fears that I have ever experienced in my life. What's going to happen to me because I have this room locked up so tight that nobody's going to get in here. I cannot answer the phone. I'm not going to be able to crawl out of this tub to go and look for help. I am going to quite possibly be here and be injured for hours and hours and hours on end before anybody comes to look for me. Even though my manager is here and he doesn't have the expectation of having to check up on me until the following morning. Thankfully, because I had been working out, I was able to break my fall to the point where I only had a slight bruise along my wrist, but nothing along the lines of what I had anticipated. By the time I got back to Nassau, 2 days after the day after my return, we had this exercise. As you can see, I'm standing above or on two elevated boxes in the gym, and I'm doing a sumo squat. And while I look extremely focused in this photo, I want you to know that there was a bit of fear that had gripped me in this moment. I was literally shaking while on top of these boxes because and I didn't realize it at that time, but I kind of had fear of being up high and falling, even though these circumstances were two completely different circumstances. I was more than capable of keeping my balance on this box. I knew that I wasn't going to fall down, and there were three other people there doing their exercises, but my coach is in front of me and he is monitoring me. So my fear, some people may say, is unfounded, but in that moment, you could not tell my body that I was not going to fall off of this bench because of what I call my near death experience, being alone in that hotel room in the bathroom. So I said to him, he looked at me and he said, "Is everything okay?" I had not told him that I had almost fallen down, and this is my coach. And I said, to be honest, I ain't gonna lie to you, I having a whole moment because I had a traumatic experience, and then I had to tell him I almost fell down. So he gave me the option. He said, "Well, you don't seem to be taking it well. Do you want me to, adjust the exercise?" I said, "No, I know I'm capable of doing this. I know that this is easy." He didn't even give me the heavy weight this particular time. And so I had to say to him, I said, "No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. It's just going to take me a little bit longer." And so we had 3 sets of this. The first set, it took me forever. It took me forever because I was trembling every single time I went into that squat, to the point where I had the boxes shaking. And he was patient. The second time, it wasn't as bad. By the third time, I had locked in, and even though the fear itself was irrational, I still managed to complete it. So for those of y'all wondering how slipping down in the shower and being on top of the boxes for these elevated sumo squats tie in together, that's how they tie in together. And our performance anxiety is somewhat the same. It is fear. And it may not be a fear that you experience because you may have fallen down or you may have experienced something similar, but it can be a fear that is established by some of the other external factors. Sometimes the factors are internal. If you're still with me, give me a thumbs up, give me a something, let me know you're here. And then if you would like to share, let me know if you have experienced the exact same thing, maybe in a different form, but the exact same experience. Because I know sometimes it gets extremely hard for us. And y'all looking at the phone because I gotta let Instagram know that we are here and we are ready and we are working. Okay, so y'all forgive me. So what's happening is that fear sometimes tells us that we are incapable, and it keeps us from performing, and it manifests as anxiety. Okay. So, what I want us to understand is there is a clinical definition for performance anxiety that I'm about to share with you all. But I also want y'all to know I am in no way a psychologist. I am in no way a doctor. I just know sometimes when it's time to perform, I get anxious. And sometimes those anxious feelings are associated with past experiences, or they're associated with the fear or feelings of inadequacy. So let's take a look at the definition that I took from Very Well Health, which was extremely concise. It says performance anxiety is an excessive feeling of fear related to not being able to perform. People with performance anxiety may experience rapid heartbeat, lightheadedness, shallow breathing, sweating, and other symptoms when faced with a situation where they have to perform. Okay, so here we go. We have this definition, and I have set the stage for the course of today's talk. An excessive feeling of fear. That word excessive is sometimes it's unfounded. Sometimes it's only this much, but it feels this big. And so this fear tries to govern our ability to execute something that we are capable of. And so I'm going to move to our next slide. So this is how I choose to discuss fear within the context of today's discussion. It is when your imagination runs wild. Remember, in the first example I gave, I started to talk about how I felt like nobody was coming. Nobody would know that I fell down. I might possibly have just unalived myself by accident, and there would be nobody there to see me. My imagination, I mean, although they were all very real points, immediately went to the very worst case scenario. For what? For what? So it focuses on your perceived shortcomings. Perceptions are those things that it's the way that you see. If I take my glasses off, I am nearsighted. I cannot see what's in the monitor in front of me, and I can make out the words on my computer, which is below me, simply because I have them written large enough. But you move anything far enough away from me with my glasses off, and my perception is completely off. I can't tell distance or anything. And it's the same thing with fear. Fear, it misconstrues or it hides your perception. It obscures your perception. It makes you feel as though your shortcomings are a lot more than they actually are. Because the truth is, we all have shortcomings. Sometimes I don't know which word I want to use in a particular case, but I will go through every word in the thesaurus until I get the right one for the context in which I'm speaking. And I want y'all to know that. Then fear also minimizes what you are capable of. So what it does in terms of increasing that anxious feeling is it tells you, hey, I mean, this little skill you have, that ain't important. That's not anything to look forward to. That's not something that you should be, you should be trying to magnify, because you are so bad at so many things. It's cheaper you just don't do nothing at all. So it minimizes your capabilities. And then it introduces a narrative of doubt, because the moment your shortcomings, the way that they are perceived, are amplified, and then your capabilities are minimized, all of a sudden you doubt your ability to do anything. If you agree with me, can I get a thumbs up? Can I get a something? Because to be honest, fear is the root of anxiety. And once you know that fear is the root of anxiety, you have the ability to pull back and figure out what is the root of that particular fear. Because you address anxiety by getting to the root of the fear. What is it that makes you fearful in this moment? And I could tell y'all now, I could be very honest with you, my fearfulness was because of me falling down. And so we're going to continue to go along with the example. I can stay with this example of me falling down in the shower because I can need y'all to understand how serious the situation is, okay? So your anxiety then shows through your actions. These actions can manifest themselves in overthinking. Okay, what if this? What if that? And then it obscures your ability to make a decision in a timely manner, a decision that will allow you to put yourself in a good position. Overthinking does that, and overthinking is a fruit of anxiety. And again, the root of that is fear. It forces you to play small. You limit your ability to execute because you think that if I play small or if I play safe, which is the next thing on the slide, then there is less risk of me failing. Because performance anxiety is fear of failure. All right. It also, one of the fruit is worry. You worry. What if? What if? I mean, what's going to happen next? Why am I doing this? And then it puts you in a state of paralysis to the point where that pause becomes permanent. It is a pause that becomes permanent. And if you know the word for a permanent pause, please write that in the chat for me. Because a permanent pause means you are doing what? I know y'all have it. Thank you so much. Yes, one word is freezing. The next one is stagnation. Performance anxiety will keep you in a place of stagnation. It means that you are not going to move. When you pause permanently, if you put something on pause on one of your devices and you don't come back to that, guess what's going to happen? It's going to stay on that frame and it's going to stop. Thank you very much, Carlene, because that is another way to form a loop. And then you are wondering why you're not going anywhere. It is stagnation. I can't even say you are marking time because marking time serves a purpose. Marking time is a military term that means that you are standing in place until that music tells you it's time to move to something else. But you have a rhythm in your head and you will know based on that rhythm and the time that you are keeping that it's time to move on. But that means it means that you are doing something purposeful. But when you take a permanent pause, nothing is happening. And it is, again, the result of anxiety. Now, when do we feel anxious? Okay. I'll tell you some of the times I feel anxious. I feel anxious when I get new assignments. Let me tell you why. Sometimes the new assignments require skills that I feel are not my strongest skills. And a bit earlier, I said that you minimize your capabilities or you minimize your abilities, right? And these are things that, yeah, I may need to flex my muscles on a little bit. I may need to do them a little bit more, but it does not mean I cannot do it. Is it the thing that I do at 100%? Is it the thing that I specialize in? Maybe not. But the fact that it is something that is new for me to do means that I am capable of doing it sometimes at 50% proficiency. 50% is not a fail. 50% is average. And let me just say, for all of us who are out here perfectionists, it's okay to be average. Average leaves room for improvement, but average means that you pass. It does not mean that you are mediocre. And we need to rephrase that because some of us are so concerned about not being average that we don't respect that sometimes average is the best that we can be until we can move on to above average. You don't move on to above average in a skill until you continue to practice that skill. Everybody has to start something. So sometimes when I get a new assignment, I automatically say, oh, Bodine, you can't do this. And then I have to say, no, Bodine, what skills do I have? What skills do I need for this? Sometimes we're placed in unfamiliar environments. Unfamiliar environments don't just mean homes, they don't just mean offices. They mean places where there are people that you may know or you may not know well enough to interact with. And so you tell yourself that I am incapable of doing this. So why are you in the room? Who put you there? How you get there? That's the question. When you are in an unfamiliar environment, sometimes you are tempted to disqualify yourself and not perform because you feel as though you don't belong there. Self-limiting thoughts are the fruit of fear. Anxiety is the root, or the root of anxiety is fear. Y'all gonna hear that word a whole lot simply because it becomes excessive the more you amplify it. Then sometimes, and unfamiliar environments, we go to introductions to people who we feel are superior to us. Oh, why are we minimizing ourselves? So just because I'm not the type of person to automatically introduce myself to somebody that is extremely skilled in an area, or somebody that I admire because they've accomplished so much, does not mean that I'm going to minimize who I am and what it is that I do. Baby, I could sing Mary Had a Little Lamb and its fleece was white as snow, the best in the nation. And when I walk up to you as the person that I admire, I am going to automatically say, hi, I'm Bodine, and I sing Mary Had a Little Lamb like no one has ever sung it, and it has offered me the opportunity to do X, Y, and Z. I don't care how small you believe the achievement is. Fighting that fear of anxiety means that you have to amplify the things that you are good at, the things that you are capable of, the things that you have accomplished. It does not matter how trivial people think it is. You would be surprised at how you amplifying the small things will open doors for you and open opportunities for you. Sometimes we have performance anxiety when people are watching. And it's because we feel as though we don't want to fail in front of other people. And so this point and the last point on the slide, they are attached, they're linked. We are afraid to perform in front of people because we are afraid of failing. I will tell you this, the first time I got onto a stage to sing, I didn't have a powerful voice. I did not. As a matter of fact, I was a soprano in Commonwealth Mission Baptist Church at the time that I was growing up as a teenager. And the running joke in the choir was, what's Bodine's note? Because Bodine was very likely to start the whole choir off up in the heavens. I promise you, without fail, we was gonna start on the wrong note, and the whole choir was gonna be high, okay? And I see Marguerite says that we are afraid of being judged, and you are absolutely correct. And so even with me not being the best singer in the choir, always off, always singing the wrong thing, the more I practiced it, the better I got. The more I put myself out there, the more confidence I earned, I gained, the more confidence in me grew. One of the strategies that I learned is that I cannot be afraid to do what I do in front of people. Because if I am afraid of doing what I do in front of people, I will never be able to use the gifts that I have for the people I am supposed to reach. I have sung If I could say a million, I could say a million wrong notes. I have sung a million notes that were not joyful noises unto the Lord. And I promise you, I still sometimes sing them to this day, although I have a much better control over it. And even Beyonce has had that happen to her. Even Adele has had to restart a song because she was on the wrong note or she was in the wrong key in front of hundreds, thousands, millions of people. And they unashamedly do so. When you are unsure about your abilities, you end up shying away simply because, like Marguerite said, you're afraid of being judged, but you're afraid of being perceived as failing. Nothing beats a fail better than a try. I know who said that, but that's the truth. And the more consistent I was and the more consistent I became with my trying, the better I became at overcoming this anxiety. It really is the fruit of practice. Okay. And so we move on to the next slide, which is how do we deal with self-limiting thoughts? Self-limiting thoughts are another fruit of fear, which is going to give you anxiety. Okay. I had to deal with a mindset shift. Excuse me. Last year, I didn't send in well, there's two reasons why. But last year, I didn't send in an application for a grant that I knew, one, I needed, and two, I was capable of getting. I was, a really great candidate for it. And there are two reasons. One, because I expected to be studying a master's degree program somewhere in Canada right now in 2024, which is a different story for a different time. But also, while I was filling in this application, I said to myself, no, somebody else deserves this more. I can go to work and I could earn and then buy the stuff that I need. So another female entrepreneur needs this more. And what I did is I disqualified myself, under the guise of being noble, because innately I was insecure about whether or not I would be able to even get it, even though I knew I was capable of it. And I knew I deserved it. And I knew that I would be able to meet all of their criteria. So dealing with self-limiting thoughts requires a mindset shift. So here's one of the things that I really, really need those of you who are here with me to do. What I need you to do is I need you to write down the things that you have accomplished. Okay. It could be a list of 5 things. It can be a list of 3 things. It can be a list of 2 things. And if you only have one thing to start your list, write down the things that you have accomplished, the things that require a specific type of skill that you possess. And then I want you to kind of, branch out with them. And I want you to take note of the skills that it takes to get those things done. Because there are some skills I do not have. I could tell you that now. But there are some skills and some strengths that you do. And when I say a mindset shift, instead of minimizing those things, I want you to say it 300 million times over, especially under circumstances when you feel inadequate. I want you to say, I am excellent at A, B, C, and D. I am average at this, this, and this. But that means I can do it well enough to get by. And if I continue to practice it, I'm going to get better. Then you have, and I wasn't even paying attention, ability scaffolding. I can do this, so that means that's not much harder. Okay? I can live stream with my phone. So setting up the computer and the camera and the microphone is not that much harder. I used to work in radio. That means TV is not that much harder. I understand input and output on the computer. That means that broadcasting for me is not that much harder. If you see things that you perceive to be difficult and outside of the realm of your skills and ability, and you kind of scale them. You look at it and you pick certain things and you say, okay, well, if I can do this, then that means that I can also do that. I can do this at excellent. This is the offshoot of that. That means that if I start at average, I can get better. That means that I can do that as well. And keep at that. Lean into the challenge. I find that when we decide that we're going to eliminate ourselves or sideline ourselves before we have had the chance to actively engage with what we want to do, we disqualify ourselves entirely. And there's no need for that. So just begin. When I was standing up on top of those two boxes and I was shaking to the point where you could hear the vibration in the boxes, what I had to do was close my eyes while I was up there. And I had to say, Bodine, you are safe. You can do the squat. This is not heavy. And I had to tell my body, I said, body, you are safe. It is okay. You are in a place where you are balanced. Your muscles can handle this. Your body can handle this. This is what you are made to do. This is going to benefit you in the long run. You are going to be stronger. And again, by the time I got to that third set, the boxes under me were no longer shaking. My mind was no longer consumed with that particular fear. And when I stepped down off of those boxes, I felt a lot more accomplished. I did not feel defeated because I had completed the assignment that I was given at that time. Anxiety keeps you from doing things that you need to do. And so we move to what is, to be honest, the second to last slide, if I'm not mistaken. Performance is the fruit, but practice is how you propagate confidence. Okay. So I was saying that the root is fear. The trunk is anxiety, and anxiety shows up in a number of different ways. Well, guess what? The actions or the performance of the fruit of confidence or the tree of confidence is the way that you perform. And it is the quality of that fruit. That quality of that fruit is based on how you propagate that confidence. And you can only do that through practice. So Bodine don't have a Bodine is not I ain't a farmer. I ain't gonna lie. I do not take joy in being in the earth and stuff like that. I just Carlene, you have any avocados? You have any dill? You have any herbs? What you have, like, cause she got it. She know what she doing. That is not my area of expertise. But I want you to know the way that you perform is based on how you propagate your confidence. Okay. And so that means that you have to practice. Performance anxiety, honestly, it's underscored when you don't practice to move from average to exceptional. And I might be approaching this, as some people may say, from a very frivolous place, but I could tell you, when I gave my first motivational speech, I was a teenager, and a friend of mine who was, I would say, a mentor at that time, a mentor of mine was unable to make a speaking engagement in Abaco for young people. So he picked up the phone and he called me and he said, hey, Bodine, I know you sing and you perform poetry. Are you able to do a, 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 a speech for me in Abaco for Youth Month? You know, you are a youth. People see you on TV. I think that you would be a good fit. He already told me what I do and why I would be a good fit for what it is that I do without me even thinking about it. So you know what that means? That means that he started to propagate the confidence in me. And so when I went and I spoke about overcoming obstacles as a young person. And the more and more I did it, the better I became at it. Because I wasn't even teaching yet. I think I maybe was like 19 and on this island, and they didn't pay me no money for it. But the point is, more opportunities came out of that because I began to propagate confidence by practicing and being intentional about my the way that I contribute, and the way that I invest in myself and the things that I consumed. All right. Biblically, because I am faith-based, I am Christian. Biblically, the Bible tells us that whatsoever things are pure and kind and of good report and are lovely, think on those things. Performance anxiety is only fought by the way that you condition your mind as well as the things that you put into it. Again, what you think shows up in your actions. And so if you allow your fear to puppet you, you will never move because fear keeps you in a place of stagnation. It's a reason why that saying is frozen in fear. Okay? And so as we move now, we need you to remember to practice until the unfamiliar becomes second nature. Okay? At 44 minutes past 7 o'clock, the next steps for you. I want you to identify the thing that makes you uncomfortable. Identify the thing that makes you uncomfortable, the thing that strikes up fear, because you have to look fear in the face. I promise you, performance anxiety is only overcome by addressing it. There's a reason why I say the root of something. If you know what the root of it is, you're able to pull it up, and understand why the fruit looked that way. You will understand how to get rid of it. Okay. Consider the root of the discomfort. What is it that's causing you to be fearful? What is it that is trying to amplify itself over what you are capable of, over what you are talented at, over what you are called to do, over the reason why you are in the room, over the reason why you are called to a particular thing? Okay. I want you to consider that root. And then I want you to be specific about the name you give that concern, because again, if you can identify it, then you can uproot it. And then you have to think about ways to strategize and implement those ways to address the discomfort. In my example, I address my discomfort by staying on the stage. Yes, I started out very slowly and rocky, but by the time I got to that third set on those boxes, I had not only completed them, but I completed them with proper form and I felt accomplished. Okay. So you strategize. If you are afraid of meeting new people, then my strategy for when I'm afraid of meeting new people is, regardless of how many people know me when I walk into a room, because I'm a very introverted person and I get overwhelmed when I am in large spaces. Um, what I tend to do is I give myself some time to acclimate. And that means I walk into a room and I may go into a corner just for a second so I can take in the room. I remind myself of why I am there. Oftentimes somebody who is familiar to me comes up to me and they engage in conversation. And then I say to myself, okay, Bodine, we have to meet at least 4 new people in this place today. After we've met 4 people, we have overcome that fear of not being able to network or feeling as though I don't belong in this space. Okay. 4 introductions to people that I need to know or I need to get to know, I need to meet. Because it defeats the purpose of you being in the room if you leave without getting to know somebody. I dislike meeting new people. I dislike cold openings. Sometimes I strategize by bringing a friend along with me, and my very extroverted friend makes the introductions, which kind of gives me a bit of a buffer, but that's not always practical. And so I have to learn to step out of my introversion. Okay. And when I am hyperventilating before I go on stage, it doesn't happen very often, but sometimes before I step onto the stage, I am not fearful, but I have a healthy level of anticipation that if I sit in it for too long, or if I think about, oh, the lighting technician ain't doing the right thing with the lights, or oh, the speakers been going on, off all night, or oh, what if my CD scratch in the middle of me singing? Um, Many times I'm on stage and I break out in a cold sweat because mid set the speakers turn off or my microphone ain't working. And so I then have to switch into one of my strategies, which is I start teaching the song to the people so the people could sing along with me, because at least three people in the front, they're going to have themselves a dandy. And I promise you, if it's only three people in the crowd who gonna have themselves a dandy, I could sing to them three people and the rest of everybody else could follow. That's my strategy, so that I don't freeze up in anxiety because things are not going well. So I want you to think about your strategies, and not just think about them, but I want you to implement them. And so from there, I have a survey that I would like for you all to complete before I finish my last few thoughts. And I am going to drop that survey in the chat if I could get the window to. No, you know what? I think I control and V it. Yes, there you go. So I did place a survey. I hope that's what that is in the chat. And I would be grateful if those of you who are still here with us would also join and complete the survey, please. It would help me to know if I provide value for you, and also what I should be responding to. And if you have any questions, right now is the time to ask, and I would be very happy to answer those questions for you, because I believe in giving enough time for feedback. So in the meantime, I am going to answer one or two questions from the last Titta Talks I did, which was on um personal brand building, okay? And so one of the questions that one of my anonymous participants asked is, how do you build a personal brand if you are shy or an introvert? And I would say that building a personal brand as an introvert is not mutually exclusive. You build a brand based on your reputation. Some businesses are high touch. Some businesses do not require you to be in as constant contact with people. But the point is for persons who come into contact with you to have a consistent experience, regardless of where you meet them or who they are. Brand building is about how people experience you and your product or your service. And then are they willing to tell other people about that product or service and the interaction? Because it's more about consistency and less about your personal disposition about things. The other thing is you will have to hire a team of people or get in contact with a team of people who can act as your emissaries. My best friend, for example, she does a lot of word of mouth marketing for me in her professional circles. But that also means that when people come into contact with me as a result of as a result of the recommendation she's made, I have to deliver on what she has sold to them, because what she sold to them is not based on the fact that she is my best friend, but because as someone that has experienced my services, she knows that I am capable of what they have done, okay? Or what they are requesting. The next question somebody asked is, how do you remain relevant even after, as you said, not releasing a song for 15 months? The truth is, I realized that in terms of a brand, music could not be the only thing that's associated with my brand. When you look at Beyonce, she just released Sacred, and you see that she has her campaigns with other companies around the world for fashion. She had a fashion line. You look at Rihanna, she has a hairline, she has a cosmetics line, she has a clothing line, or has had it. So they're not afraid to kind of branch out. What I do is music is how I became popular. It's what I am most known for. But the overarching pillar of my brand is culture. And so that's culture through music, that's culture through art, that's culture through food. And so I find places that are culturally relevant that my talents are good at, and I find ways to monetize that and to be influential in those spaces. It also means that my influence cannot be about what I can get from the community. It's based on the service and the value that I can provide to the community, because relevance is based on being able to provide not only your art, but to give people access to something that they need in that market, or the assistance that they need in that market. Um, so, yeah. And the last question is, what are some points on keeping consistent when having multiple businesses? So, when having multiple businesses, being consistent is primarily a function of you knowing the assignment and being committed to the assignment regardless of how you perceive it, or how people perceive you. It means that you are very, very concerned with executing the purpose that you're there for. You know what value you want to provide for the community. You're not serving yourself. And it means that you know that this is something that you want to do and you are committed to. And so that's how you remain consistent when you manage multiple brands. But also, I want you to think about keeping a rhythm. You have to keep a rhythm with those brands. There are seasons when one, for example, Bodine Pot generated the most income for me and the most viewership, and it kept me as a household name during the pandemic. And after the pandemic, people are still using the recipes the world over because it's something that provides value. But in that season, that was what I needed to keep myself relevant, but it was also my service to the community. Because before it was making money, it made no money. It was something that I enjoyed doing. And music came back after that. Before we went into the pandemic, I was doing TV with ZNS. And so those things move in seasons. And you find that a lot of people who own small businesses understand that there are some seasons where they have to offer different products and different services because people want different things during that season. But you always have that one base product or service that keeps you floating as the years and the season go by. So those are the ways that you remain consistent. For those of you that are still here, I just want to know, do you have any questions? Oh, the link is not opening. Okay, Anthony, let me see what I can do about that, because I would really like to get you guys' feedback. So let me see. Let me see. Just give me 1 second. And if not, if it doesn't open for you, then if you would just DM me a, what do we call it? Okay, see if that one will open for me, please. Okay, I'm gonna look in just, yay, fantastic. Okay, great, because that would give me feedback. And then in next month's installment, I will be able to answer the rest of your questions. If you do have any additional questions that you would like me to answer. But Titta Talks is most certainly my community service. As it is, it's a way for me to offer value to my community as somebody that is interested in um, interested in seeing our community win. It is a way for me to kind of show you all the support that you give me by sharing my work, by engaging with my content, by supporting the brands that support me. And of course, it's very much a service oriented task that I genuinely do enjoy. And so if you have suggestions on things that you'd like me to talk about during these sessions, let me know. I'd be very, very happy to go through and to discuss and, to research and to have the conversation with you. Also, please know that, like I mentioned before, many of you got into the session. If for any reason you want to go back through some of the content, I do download and then re-upload this content to YouTube, um, at an undisclosed link or an unlisted link so that you would have access to it later in case you want some encouragement, if you want to go back over it, or if you want to share it with somebody that may benefit from it. And so there's that. I may, within the next few months, decide that I am going to I'm going to change the platform. But for right now, I enjoy how intimate these sessions are. I am not yet ready to kind of post this up on another platform or on another site, because I just feel as though the persons that are interested are going to be here, and I could kind of gauge what people need within that moment. So I may change my mind a little bit later, may turn it into a Facebook Live, but for right now, I just enjoy the intimate session. And so I want to say, guys, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining me. It is 59 minutes past the 7 o'clock hour, and we are ending right on time. I see Big Boss, because I got to call her Boss Lady Shaquille. She just made it in. And I know Boss Lady is being very, very busy. I just want to say thank you so much for popping in. And to Indira Demerit, it has been our pleasure hosting you. Anthony, thank you so much. These words of affirmation are really cool. Thank you to the Carlene. It's okay, Shaquille. It's okay. I'm gonna make it available for you guys. So tap me in my Instagram or in my Facebook DM, and I'll be able to send you the link to the unlisted session, quite possibly by tomorrow. Let me just give y'all a heads up. Tomorrow, because sometimes we miss out on some really, really great opportunities. Tomorrow, I am going to be enjoying 3 days. I took 3 days of vacation just so I could be here for AfriXM or Afrexim. Let me see if I can find it in my Gmail. I'm not going to share my my Gmail with you. But what's happening is there's the Afrexim Bank. They are hosting a platform called Owning Our Destiny Economic Prosperity on the platform of Global Africa from June the 12th to the 15th at Bahamar. So that's from tomorrow until Saturday. And so the convention is going to assist us with understanding the challenges in the global economy and how global Africa is going to respond. And if you know, then you know that we have a lot of ties that are being formed with the continent of Africa, and some of the trade investments are opening there. And so for those of us who are women in business, those of us who want to be women in business and international business, forums like these give us the opportunity to see what is happening. And then if you meet the right people, you may be able to be guided into a place where your talents, your abilities, your products, and your services can be best used. And so for me in particular, the day that I'm most focused on is going to be Friday, because it's for creatives. But I think I'm gonna, if you're interested, very quickly, because I don't want to keep you too much longer, let me know. I'm not sure if registrations have closed already, but I will be providing updates for you through my socials. So if you're interested, just give me a heads up. I can't find the I can't find the registration link. I'm so sorry, guys. But Marguerite, I will forward to you via text message. Okay. And most certainly, it is such a pleasure to be here with you all. So I'll forward it to you. And I'm looking forward to having another chat. Y'all, please tell your friends if you enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing you all so much later. It's been my pleasure, y'all. Have a great night. I am more than what you see, more than what you know. There is more inside of me. That's it for Titta Talks. Now I go into class. Later. Thanks, Shaquille. Night, night.